space, but again, good afternoon. My name is Troy Selvey with California After School Network, program specialist. I'm joining you from Sacramento, California. Super excited to be able to be here, AKA in the city of trees, the farm to fork capital. For all of you that do know me, you know how passionate I am about my city. For all of you that don't know me, if you've never been here, come see me. I'd be happy to show you around, okay? But again, just really excited to be able to be in space with all of you. We have a lot of good things and exciting things to share with you over the next course of a couple of days. And we'll go ahead and we'll just kick that off with a little bit of just a preview for our agenda. Our plan for today is going to be just a little opportunity for you to get a chance to know a couple of our site coordinator network leadership team members, along with a special guest we have joining us to just kind of get us kicked off for what's to come in the coming days. But before we do that, we are actually going to do a little bit of a grounding. So for those of you that are familiar with these practices or may have been in meetings with us in the past, again, this is an invitation, not a demand. So for those of you that are willing to participate, I'm just going to invite you to maybe find yourself into a comfortable position, whatever that may look like for you. That have the ability, we'll just invite you to come back on camera and join us back in the space. And just normally we would do a large group check-in or maybe break it into small groups, but knowing that you didn't come here to see me or to continue to hear me talk, I'm just going to invite you all to maybe just take a moment and drop in the chat maybe a thing or two that's coming up for you, or maybe how that felt for you. And as you do that, I'll just take a moment to again, go over, welcome those that joined us maybe in mid grounding, or maybe joined us a little bit after, and just kind of tell you thank you for joining us for the 2022 Site Coordinator Symposium, Back to the Future. We were so excited to have each and every one of you. We're so grateful that you took the time out to join us this afternoon, recognizing that everything that's going on now, we know that we're all kind of moving in a million miles an hour. So thank you for taking the time to just ground and share space. And then without further ado, I'm going to take a moment to just introduce you to the real stars, the real people who are helping to continue to help set the stage for what is going to be a wonderful event over the course of the next couple of days. I get the honor and privilege to work with these folks on a day-to-day basis and hear lots of wonderful things from them. But without further ado, I'll take an opportunity to introduce you to just our three site coordinator leadership team members that are joining us today: Corey Ovey, Brazil McIntyre, and Tracy Vasquez. So excited to be able to have you all. Ladies, I'm going to pass this to you all to kind of maybe tell them a little bit about yourselves, and then introduce our special guest.
Well, first of all, I want to say welcome. And are we starting with you, Brazil? Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. I guess that means I'm up first. Thanks, Tracy, for always having my back. That's kind of how we do it. So I appreciate that. But yeah, so welcome everyone. We're so glad to see you in this space today. And we are excited for an action-packed symposium that is dedicated to all that we do, just to keep our sites going and all of that. So my name is Brazil McIntyre, and I'm the after school program supervisor for Berkeley Learns in Berkeley, California, in Region 4. So welcome. I'm going to pass it back to Tracy.
My name is Tracy Yuleberry Vasquez. I am the Administrative Director at Project Life Impact in San Bernardino, California. We are contracted with San Bernardino City Unified School District to provide their after-school programs. And obviously, we're also Site Coordinator Network Leadership Team members. I am the committee chair for Promising Practices. So we are very excited to be with you guys today, virtually, and then later this week in person. And it's just nice to be able to do this, to look forward to seeing all of you. If you're coming in, some of you are also coming in person, seeing you today, sharing the screen with you. It's just so great to be in community with the people that we do all of this for and we love. So thank you for joining us. Corey, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Corey Ovey. I am operations manager / special project director at Bright Futures for Youth. We are a nonprofit about an hour up the hill from Sacramento in Grass Valley, California. So, and also, yeah, leadership team member. And I am the chair of the Policy and Advocacy Committee. So just want to echo what Tracy says. We're super excited that we get to do this again this year. And it's so exciting that we get hybrid. So virtually first and then in person. So we're just happy to be in space with all of you amazing site coordinators again this year. And then I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm passing back to you, Troy.
Yeah, I'll take it for just a moment. And I will just take this moment to just say, like, how grateful and privileged I am to be able to introduce these ladies, but to work alongside of them. It really is a privilege to have the opportunity. And what we're going to do today is we're going to have a bit of a conversation, but not just with these three. We have a special guest for you all. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that some of you may know this man. But we have the illustrious and wonderful Michael Funk joining us today as our special guest. And the four of them are just going to have a bit of a conversation. And our own, very own site coordinator symposium version of Fireside Chat. So without further ado, I'm going to jump off the screen and I'm going to let you four get to it, because that's what everyone came to see. Michael, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you. It is always a privilege to be in space with you, and we love you. So we appreciate everything that you do for this, what we love. And so you're our fearless leader, truly, from the top and all the way up. So thank you for being with us today. I just want to say what Bill said in the chat. He said, it's going to get funky in here. So, welcome.
I'm so glad you love me, because I love y'all too. I love you. Lead with love. That's what we do, right?
We try every day.
Well, it's a real privilege for me. Some of you know, and some of you might not. I mean, it's hard to believe I've now been here at CDE for 10 years. I see some of my division colleagues on the screen, and people I've just been arm in arm with for a long time. And I see some people I visited around the state. I see Vin from way up there in Humboldt County. Saw you just a bit ago. Some of you Heather and I have had on the chat before, and we were just starting to kind of huddle up right before this event started. And Corey, Tracy, and Brazil and I were going to chat a bit. And right when I was asking them a question, my internet froze, and it almost took me 15 minutes to get back on. And that's the first time that has happened in 10 months. So I got an alternative connection, and I'm good to go. But I'm excited to to hear from you three leaders as we talk. I don't know, Troy, was there going to be some spotlighting? I'm having difficulty finding.
You all are already spotlighted.
Oh, how about that? Let me change my view. There you are. Y'all look good.
That's good, because I really just landed from like in Sacramento like an hour ago. So
Well, Tracy, you kind of flew into the hotel and ran to your room to get on. And
yeah.
Brazil, I think, are you still on the road somewhere or parked in your car? Like you're,
I pulled over to make it happen.
isn't that like site coordinator? Like, isn't that just like your jobs, right?
Totally.
Yeah. We definitely are masters of making it work whenever and wherever. So, and I think that's really a good segue for even us to ask you some of our questions. And I mean, going with, obviously this is Back to the Future. Kind of, we talked about this because we kind of thought this would be a good theme for this year, coming from out of the pandemic, and kind of as there's talk to things going back to normal, we've really wanted to not go back to normal. Like, why do what we did before when this has been such a good time to kind of revolutionize our field, to change some things, do things differently, and just all of that has happened and come from that, and what the great outcomes coming for, or like the possible things coming out of this are. And so I think it's just exciting for us to see that, and just through a lot of things, the LOP funding, just so many different avenues that has happened, just creative and innovation on the sites by site coordinators. We've seen so many interesting and great things different districts have done to really monopolize and make sure that kids have been able to get the benefit of what they need. And I think just really having this opportunity to talk to you about that, Michael, is exciting, because that's really where we want to go. We want to take what we've learned from the past, but we do want to move forward into the future. So just, Brazil, you want to take some questions and some of the good things you wanted to ask him?
Oh, wow. I mean, the things to ask. I don't know. I won't put you on the spot like that. It's more.
I actually got some questions I want to ask you.
Well, you shoot. You go.
I think
Welcome.
people want to hear more from you. At least I do, because I mean, I want to amplify something you said, Tracy. That we say a lot, but what does it really mean? And I'm interested in what it means for you. Our educational system hasn't worked for the kids that need the most support. The kids that deserve our best are not getting our best. Our educational system was in a conversation with a couple people a couple days ago, and they just they kind of asked me, so what is it about expanded learning that's different from education? And of course, you can't generalize education is like this and expanded learning is like this, because my own daughter is in 5th grade, 2 miles from our house right now as we speak. And she's got a teacher that I would say is the best of everything we describe as high quality expanded learning. That's her school name. Her teacher loves her. I mean, she says so. And my daughter feels so. I'm not. This is the general referendum, but the educational system as designed, as I described it to these people who were asking me, is transactional. It's like you go into this grade, and if you do this assignment and you score this way and you show up, and if you follow my rules, then you'll get a certain mark. And if you do these things, then you'll move to the next level, and then you'll go into this class and you'll follow these rules. And of course, innovative educators don't do that. They, like my daughter's teacher, but we don't want to go, so how do you see, going back? I always talk about the fundamentals. I'll say this, and then I want to pass it to each of you to just respond, but give you a little bit of a minute to think about, what does the future look like? What's your dream? What do you want to see different? that's where I'm headed with this. But I know that when I've been talking to people about this new expanded learning opportunities program, what do we do? It's so much. How do we get back to this? And I'm not sure what my role is. And I one of the reasons Troy and I connected is because we both played basketball. And in fact, the first time I met Troy, we deduced that Troy played professionally in the professional basketball in Europe. He's much better than me. But we figured out that his coach in Europe was my teammate on my college team, like within the first half hour of talking. So it's basketball season. We sat and watched the finals last night. And, the one thing I know is no matter how accomplished you become in basketball, the best players every day start with the fundamentals. Steph Curry, pretty good player, right? He practices the fundamentals. He goes out there and works on his footwork. He goes out there and works on his timing. He goes out there and practices dribbling the ball every day. And I think when we face challenging times where we're uncertain, and when I think of Back to the Future, I think of, what are the fundamentals of being a site coordinator? What are the fundamentals that if you don't do the basics, you're not going to be able to innovate. You're not going to be able to pull over on the freeway and jump on the Zoom. So this adaptability, this innovative stuff, what are the fundamentals? Let's start there. What are the fundamentals that you need to practice every day? And the people you supervise, I mean, you're all now leading site coordinators. So what are the fundamentals that a site coordinator needs to practice every day in order to play at the highest level?
I'll go. I think one of the key words we've heard over these last few years is unprecedented. These are unprecedented times. And I think that for me, all of that has kind of played back into that word. I want to always be unprecedented. I don't ever want to forget why I do this. And I think that's the most important thing. It's why we do this. Like, I started off as line staff when I started in this 18 years ago. And I don't ever want to forget why I do it. It's ultimately because I want to impact the lives of the students that I get to directly serve, and now through a more vast network of people. And if you forget that while you do it, it's hard to do anything innovative or think outside of the box. You get tired, you get weak, you get fed up. You can get really caught up in the political practices of the districts that you have to deal with. But if you just remember that one thing, why do I do this? What is the ultimate purpose? And it's for me to impact the lives of these kids so significantly that it causes a legacy, like it changes generations of their family, a legacy impact. That's what I want to make for them. And so for me, that's it. At the end of the day, I want to be different and innovative and unprecedented, because those are the things that keep those kids drawn in, and those are the things that affect them and impact them. And they may, like that old saying says, they may not remember my name, but I want them to remember how I made them feel.
So what I just heard, Tracy, was having a why is fundamental, and leading with purpose is fundamental. And I also heard like passion dripping from your words. That's what's transformative. Brazil, how about you? What comes to your...
Yeah, I mean, fundamentals, I really think like this continual cycle of gaining knowledge and applying it is really crucial, because I think that is one difference sort of in daytime education and after school, is that, I will date myself and say dittos, but, they would make worksheets and, things that are so standardized. And after school, you really have this whole other universe that you can tap into that doesn't really require that. And so it really does require you to think ahead and think about the future and really try to provide these things that may, as Tracy says, impact the lives of these students. I mean, it's an amazing space to be in. And, fundamentally, I think that there are so many just basic things that our students really need. And especially coming out of this pandemic, I mean, a lot of them just need love and attention and, something to change their space for the moment,
Yeah.
and so I think that in that innovative space, because I don't know, I really feel like very innovative in expanded learning, just because again there aren't as many roadblocks, I guess, to things that you can try. But anyhow, I really think that those are some of the fundamentals, is just always learning. And even down to the technology, it's like when I'm looking for a phone, I'm like, I need a phone that I can also take attendance on and log into these different things and check my emails and still stay on top of things while I'm in motion. And so if I was a person that was, say resistant to technology, this may not be so awesome, so.
I heard
joining us
continuous,
today.
yeah, I heard continuous improvement, lifelong
Yeah.
learner, innovating. Corey, how about you? What comes to mind as you've thought about this and thinking about the fundamentals?
Clearly, obviously I agree with everything else that has been said, but I think that, I mean, you've mentioned it a couple of times, Michael, it's passion. I like to say that I grow humans, and I mean that in the most basic sense of the way, is that I'm a mom. I literally grew humans, but like every day in my job, I grow humans. I grow the humans that the littles, the youth that I'm interacting with, but more importantly, my staff. I'm growing humans. And growing humans is hard and it's messy, and Lord knows we don't get paid enough. So to continue to be innovative, to continue to push the buck and make sure that we are constantly standing up for what we need and being willing to speak out in really scary spaces sometimes, to make sure that our families and our youth get what they need and our staff get what they need. If you don't have passion for what you're doing, you're not going to get very far and you're going to get tired. I mean, Brazil pulled over because this work means everything to her. I am navigating staff training right now currently and coming down to Sacramento really late tonight and doing all of this because expanded learning is my life. And I really connected with what you were saying about the school system being broken, because my backstory is very interesting in that I was actually working in the schools, like teaching math when I got my degree in development. And I could have continued on to get a credential, or I could have gotten my master's. And the school system was so not developmentally appropriate that I chose to get my master's, because I knew that the school system itself would crush my soul, just based on what I knew about what proper development was. So, and then I found expanded learning and I have never looked back. So we're an amazing group of people and site coordinators. Along with your flexibility and your adaptability, you have to have passion for what you do.
Corey, let me just offer something. I'm just learning, I'm just figuring out more about in the last couple of years in my own professional journey and continuous improvement, was that I had to come to the hard realization that the school is actually broke. It's actually doing exactly what it was designed to do. And it's not something we should fix. It's something that we need to collectively bring all voices together and create something new. And that's how I want to bridge this, because, and by the way, for the 20 years I've ran a community-based organization in San Francisco, we had a purpose statement. We didn't have a mission statement, we had a purpose statement because we wanted to be about purpose. And it was connecting people to their passion. That was our first step. Not only us having passion, but helping people find their passion, helping young people find what they care about. is when they find what they care about, they start to approach learning. And they don't approach school. They don't all of a sudden do better at school. They start to love learning. And there's a difference between navigating the institution and the system and coming up with an appetite to learn. Right? Those are differences. So Tracy, you're in the end of the empire. Brazil, you're in Berkeley. Corey, you're in the foothills. Very different places, very different contexts for kids, and yet very different contextual environments. Thinking about the future and thinking about a system that's not designed really to support the kids that deserve. What do your kids deserve? What do they deserve? And what do we need to grow? And Corey, I'm gonna kick that to you first.
That's a really big question. Our children here in the foothills deserve school systems that want to work with their community partners to create community learning organizations where we are supporting the whole child, not just their academic needs, but their social emotional needs. We have a lot of isolation in the foothills because it's really hard to get around. We don't have good public transportation. So our youth are not doing well. And so they need a space where they are accepted and loved and supported for who they are. They need a space where we look at the need behind the behavior and not just the behavior. They need the adults in their life not fighting over the scraps of funding that rural areas get, but working together so that we can maximize our funds. We all want to help children. And so the youth in my area deserve people who are going to work together so that all of our good ideas and our dreams come true so that we can support youth and families in this area.
Yeah, beautifully said. Tracy, I'll pass it to you.
I said initially everything, and I still, I know that's a broad statement, but I really feel like they deserve everything. And I think as people who have purposed our own lives or ourselves to really give that to them, we have to realize that everything where we think of material things sometimes, or all the other things that come with that, I think really what we have to be willing to give those kids everything of who we are, so that we can pour into them, so that we can continue to create these cycles of, if I pour into you who I am, then you can pour into somebody else who you are. And I'm not saying there's not parts of us that are broken, but I think the one thing that I've learned the most in raising my own kids and working with kids is that exactly teaching kids that it's not about how you fall, it's about how you get up. Like, we are going to experience life. We are going to have trials. There's going to be hard times. There's going to be things that absolutely suck in life, but we have to keep going and putting your foot in front of the next after that fall, after you have to dust yourself off, after you feel like you've lost everything, is really what I want these kids to learn. And for me, it's everything to teach them that. It's really that important that they know, especially where I am in San Bernardino. We tell those kids all the time, you are not limited by the invisible walls of the city that you were born into, because there's that stigma for them. Oh, you're from San Bernardino, you're not going to do much, you're not going to do anything. And I don't ever want them to feel that way. Like, you can do anything that you want. It does not matter where you were born or what city you're in. It's, you control everything about your life. We are products of our circumstances, but we are not victims of them. We are products of the decisions and the choices that we make to be different. And it's not always easy. And I think those are the things that we, as people, have poured into kids, struggle with. We want there to be equal access. We want there to be things, we want them to have the same opportunities that everyone else have. But sometimes we cannot do that in a broken system. So what we can do them is teach them how to fight to do it regardless if the system is broken, and fight alongside them and help them and be their voice when they can't be a voice for themselves.
You're on mute, Michael.
Sorry, I'm trying to keep my internet, stoking the fire on my internet here. What I heard powerfully stated is not just they need everything, but they need everything that we are. And then you talked about, yeah, we've got some brokenness. I think used that word. And I think what I'm hearing is showing up as your authentic self, your full self, not trying to come across as someone that doesn't have any scars or bumps or bruises, you know. And so many times I see adults in the system working with kids, believing somewhere someone planted a thought that they have to show up strong, and if they show any weakness in front of children, that somehow that's going to be inadequate. And it's actually just the opposite, isn't it? Like being vulnerable and showing up, and so kids can see that, yeah, this person that I admire and who's leading actually has some pretty good bumps and bruises, and like me, right? Brazil, what's going through your mind?
Wow. I mean, all of that Tracy and Corey and you as well, Michael, have said is absolutely spot on in my opinion. I really think that right now I'm really noticing the value of authenticity and how that it changes spaces, and it is super uncomfortable initially, but it also is, like I said, it can be pretty valuable in other ways. And so, as far as what our kids deserve, I mean, I really do think that they deserve everything. And I think that in expanded learning, we are, again, just fortunate enough to have the freedom. Now, whether or not we're doing it is another thing, but we do have the freedom to expose these students to things in ways that I guess another thing I'm noticing now is like you expose students to things, but it is also sort of a judgment piece involved. And I find like that to be really hard, especially given, circumstances coming out of this pandemic that, I don't know, I guess there's a lot that we need, but we also need to like grow these people without these different stigmas attached to this or that. I mean, and even just now this experience with the free and reduced lunch program, it's really an interesting thing. Like, yes, that is an amazing feat, but now we also have to identify all of these different folks, and so I think that I mean, that may not be necessarily the best example, but I think a lot of times we want to give these kids everything, and unfortunately, in order to get it, sometimes we have to highlight things that I wouldn't necessarily want to highlight. So I think that they deserve to have these things without having to be categorized or below benchmark or need of intervention. I think some of those things that we do want to give and we do provide are sometimes just a little bit I don't know what the even word is, but I feel like it sometimes is hard for students and for families, because I think, again, it's a student and they're attached to their family. But so I think that supporting these families also is what students deserve. So I don't know. I'm running on and on. I could probably go.
I'm hearing a strength-based approach is what, not just focusing on the deficits. Just look at the way our IEPs are designed. At least the ones that I am aware of. Let's open up the meeting talking about the student strengths. And everybody says a few nice things, and then you jump into the next hour talking about all of their deficits, where they test low. And that's just not, it's painful for parents. It's painful. It's just not the way to approach. And that's what I heard Brazil is, yeah, you got to sometimes identify these things, but how do we focus on the student strengths? Tracy, I think I cut you off.
I think the benefit almost in being in expanded learning is that, yeah, we see maybe what regular educational systems would consider the deficits or what they're not. But I think what I love about, especially like the leadership team or the site coordinator network, is that we see those things as the gifts they bring to the table. We all have talents, we all have treasures, we all have something that we offer, that we uniquely offer because we are who we were created to be. No one else can offer that. And I think sometimes in the expanded field is really when we can showcase that and highlight that about the kids and their families. And I love that. I mean, it's very obvious our education system is built to a learner who can hear a lecture. There are not a lot of kinesthetic learners who excel in this kind of, but in the expanded learning field, we get to do all of that. We can widen their horizons and broaden their horizons through their mind, through that interaction of the activities that we do that are, they can touch, they can feel, they can build something. And I always say, I love my job better. Like when we do our lesson plans and we meet them to our standards, I tell them, we backwards map in expanded learning. I don't have to get the standards and teach to a standard. I get to create a lesson and find the standard that meets the requirements of the lesson I want to teach. And I think it's exciting to be able to do that. And I think really just not just for the kids, but I also have to just say this, for the staff. When we give the staff the opportunity to show up and be yourself at work, I don't want you to come and do a math club if you hate math. I don't want you to come and decide you want to teach soccer if you really love football. I want you to be who you are and bring yourself to work. And when you have the passion of line staff that does that and is teaching that to students, that passion just flows over and flows over and flows over. And that's what I love. I feel like we have the opportunity to do a lot of the things that they can't do in the classroom. And I think even now through this pandemic or the virtual learning things, yeah, they were all doing it. It was hard, it was difficult, but we still even got to do that in a different way than the regular school teachers got to do. And we had better attendance sometimes than our regular school days because they wanted to be in the after school programs that were virtual. They didn't necessarily want to be sitting on a screen with their teacher virtually. And so I just think that speaks to not just us, everyone, but this field, the people those humans that we are growing to become better staff members, to become better people who eventually want to become teachers or will become parents. And I hope that their expanded learning journey is just one little tiny stepping stone in the greater journey they'll have in life.
Amen. So let it be. So one of the things that has been useful for me is when I'm trying to describe, what does leading with love look like? And that's what you're all describing, but it's not emotion. It's not the soft stuff. It's actually seeing children know that, I don't even want to say it it's not that I see or know children. It's that the children believe that I see them and believe that I know them. Right? Being seen, known, and supported is the opposite of the transactional approach. But I want to, and Tracy, you were talking about seeing and knowing your staff. and having them work. I guess I want to flip that question for each of you. Are you seen? Are you known? Does the system see you and know you? And just be real with us for a bit, ways that could be positive, or ways that you struggle with, or ways that you wish it could be.
All you, Corey.
So you gonna go, Corey?
We're gonna go to Corey first.
Corey is gonna go. Okay. So if we're talking about am I seen as far as the system, no, I left the system to go to a nonprofit, and I now fight with the system a lot. If I'm seen at all by the system, it's as a pain in the butt. I've been called aggressive recently. I've been told I don't support traditional schooling. So I am seen, not in a positive way. But again, youth and families, they are why I do what I do. And so I will be the thorn in your side. I will be a pain in your butt until you do what you need to do for children and families. I don't care that you're tired. I'm tired too. We're all tired. We've all been through this collective experience. So have the children, so have their families. So I am seen by the system in not a way that I want to be seen, but I will continue to speak out because I have the privilege to speak out.
Thank you. Brazil?
I would say I do feel seen in some circles, some not. I think the ones where I am heard are circles that respect what expanded learning is doing and the possibilities that are, encased in that. The spaces that I don't feel seen absolutely are conversations that directly impact expanded learning, yet whoever is having those meetings, mostly superintendents and the like, that don't really seem to have the respect for expanded learning. And so they discount how a lot of these things are being dealt with, and what expanded learning even means to families, what it means to kids, what it means to actual people, that this is our livelihood. And so those things I don't necessarily always feel seen. I feel heard because I will say things, but I don't know how far that goes. And so that's sometimes very frustrating. But I do find that the relationships with folks that have good intentions towards expanded learning and want to help expand those things, they're just fantastic conversations. So those I'm very optimistic about. The others I'm still working on finding the key.
Thank you, Brazil. Tracy, I got the 1 minute warning. I got the 1 minute warning. So take us home, and I'll close this up with a couple of comments.
I think that I have learned in my life that if I'm not seen, I change my background. And so actually Tiffany Gibson told me something many years ago, because I did experience something. She said, often when you are silenced, it takes you years to find your voice again. I was silenced and I found my voice, and I make sure that I find a platform that it can be heard from. And people like Corey, where she thinks she's not seen positively in the system, I love the fact that Corey and Brazil are by my side in this journey and on this team, because those are exactly the people I want standing next to me in this journey. I want us to be loud and make a difference together. I want to be the change that I want to see in this world. And if I have to be loud and I have to find a different platform to get that to be seen and heard, I will do that. And those are the people I want standing next to me. So
the three of you have inspired me, and I'm sure everyone on the call on Zoom, but let me just speak for myself. The three of you have inspired me. You've moved me emotionally to see and hear the fire in your voice, the resiliency, the unwavering purpose. Man, thanks for filling my bucket. I look forward to seeing you in person over at the convention center. Troy, take it away.
All right. Well, I can't even begin to fathom, like, man, lost for words, but I want to make sure that I say thank you to all of you for taking the time to share your thoughts, share your views, to be a part of what it is that this event is. And I couldn't have thought of a better way to kick it off than to have this conversation. I get the privilege of kind of just going over a few particulars with you all, logistics for those that are here with us. So if you bear with me today, we're closing up our opening panel. We'll be shifting to our virtual site visits hosted this afternoon from 1:30 to 3. We'll have a bit of a break from 3 to 5, and then we'll be inviting you all to join us for some virtual networking and game night, recognizing that not everyone could be here in person. We are intentionally trying to create space so that we can create community, even if it is through a virtual network, whatever that is. We're across the state, and we would really, really, really encourage you all to join us at some point this afternoon or this evening, to just kind of partake in the fun. And then tomorrow we're getting ready to partake in a full day of workshops starting at 9 a.m. We'll start with a welcome and another keynote. We'll have followed by a break from 9:50 to 10 o'clock. Workshop times are 10 to 11:30, and then 11:45 to 1:15. And then we'll be transitioning back in the latter part of the afternoon for some closing plenary and some reflection of what you've heard in the workshops. So that's our day for the next couple of days. And again, as I mentioned, there are site visits. Boys Club of Westminster will be showcasing one of their elementary sites, and then we also have a visit by Mizzen by Mott. So please, we encourage you to check out these resources. We want to make sure that you have the best impact and experience while you're here. Remembering it is, again, just another shameless plug for our virtual game night tonight. There may or may not be some trivia, and there may or may not be another special guest performing for us this evening, for those of you that have maybe been at some of our events in the past. So and as we continue through this, please follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, all of the things, Instagram, wherever you need to find us, please follow us. Use the app as a great way to connect as well. Post pictures, post quotes, whatever it is that you heard. And then lastly, let's make sure you save the dates for 2023. Going to Long Beach, y'all. Going to Long Beach, okay? And we're moving back to our originally scheduled programs. February 14th through the 17th. Yep, we'll be celebrating the love again together. For all of you that remember California Love, we'll be bringing that to the LBC this year. And just again, a huge thank you to each and every one of you, presenters, partners. I want to give a huge shout out to our presenting sponsor, Right Brain, for continuing to support us, to help to make this happen, recognizing that without our partners, we wouldn't be able to provide some of the services that we do, but we wouldn't be able to do that without our keynotes. We wouldn't be able to do that without our presenters. We wouldn't be able to do it with the Symposium planning team. I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't be able to do it with my whole CAN team, ASAP team. There is a whole lot of people to help to support this. And so just a huge thank you and support to all of you. And I don't think that I missed anything, but if I did, I'll catch you in another round somewhere throughout the next couple days. Again, huge shout out to Corey, Brazil, and Tracy and Michael for taking the time to just kick us off this morning or this afternoon. Wishing you all well as you go into the site visits. This link will stay open for about 10 minutes or so in case you have any technical difficulties. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'm just going to invite you all to go off and check out some of these wonderful site visits. And I would be remiss not to take a huge moment to just shout out my team, is in particular, one person in particular, Melissa Perez. Thank you so much for making this such a wonderful and experience. So it's all good. Yeah, as I'm giving her shouts, her computer crashed, but there she is. Yeah, so huge shout out to you, Melissa. Thank you guys, and to my team as well. Enjoy the experience, and we look forward to seeing you this evening at our virtual networking. All right, take care in the meantime.